How do you respond?
Well, thank you, Dan. Thanks for having us in. What I would like to say is Mr. Maulana needs to understand that we live in the United Kingdom. This isn't Pakistan. He cannot allow, or we cannot allow him to speak for 2 billion Muslims. Neither does he or his goons speak for the 500 million Shia that believe and hold this rhetoric in very high demand. So he needs to understand that his beliefs are in line with ISIS views. His beliefs are in line with Taliban, very much pro-Taliban. They were holding, and I saw Mr. Maulana myself in a footage in Bradford with his goons holding placards of ISIS supporters. What does that say? Are we going to let a mob that Mr. Maulana has managed to muster bully the British public, British cinema goers? I mean, it's a shame that Cineworld ended up pulling the film. But they must understand that if they were to give in to people like Mr. Maulana and his goons, that this is what's going to happen. You know, they will come up on various different media outlets and proclaim victory. And the fact is, it's a sad day for British cinema. But View are still holding strong. They've increased their showings in different cinemas, and this is a story that is held extremely dear by 500 million Muslims. He doesn't speak for everybody. He speaks for himself. He speaks to the ISIS supporters. He also speaks to the Taliban supporters. He doesn't speak for all Muslims. Many Muslims have contacted us, and they have been extremely pleased with the film. So, I think he's in his own bubble. He's trying to make a box for everybody to live in, especially the Muslims. And certainly, as I'll once again reiterate, he doesn't speak for everyone. He speaks for himself and for his goons.
Khalil, Yousuf, where do you stand on this?
Well, actually, I'm slightly disappointed to hear these two sides of this story, because actually Islam is that religion which is aimed to create peace and to unify people. And I think what's disappointing is that we're in a position where Islam is getting extremely bad publicity, when in fact there are so many positive things about Islam that we can talk about. One point that I do want to make is that everybody, of course, has the right to freedom of expression, but amongst Muslims, and I suspect that the main target audience of this film is indeed Muslims who are interested in the historical facts surrounding the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon him, and also his successors. And it's disappointing that the film depicted Prophet Muhammad. For all Muslims, the depiction of Prophet Muhammad is something that we broadly, all universally agree shouldn't happen. And I think I'm disappointed that that level of respect that should be given to historical figures has not been given within the film.
According to your view, that's not necessarily the case. That is not the case.
I would say that for the majority of Muslims, they would say that
you do not speak for the majority of the Muslims.
I'm here to offer my opinion, which I'm doing, and
and that's your opinion, and you are entitled to it, because we live in the United Kingdom, and in the United Kingdom you are allowed your opinion. However, you cannot speak for the majority of the Muslims. There are a majority. I can then turn around and say the majority of the Muslims have no problem if the Prophet was to be portrayed in a beautiful, holy picture anywhere in the world.
And Hussain, you have tried to do this sensitively in your film, haven't you?
Absolutely. Dan, it's worth noting that we had the best people in the industry working on this. We spent millions ensuring that the research was done correctly. We spent millions making sure that the best companies in the world that deal with the CGI picture portrayed the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the most beautiful manner possible. And then your guest comes in and says, the majority of Muslims. I respectfully disagree. You are entitled to your opinion because we live in the United Kingdom. And guess what? Yes. In the United Kingdom, we're allowed to have our own opinion.